1975, Chapter 231. An adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2023 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2022, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Ms. Adams.
Here.
Ms. Wright.
Here.
Mr. DeLuca.
Here.
Ms. Engel.
Here.
Mayor Daffis.
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires all meetings of public bodies be open to the public. And whereas Section 7A provides that the governing body has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting. And whereas it's a desire of the governing body to comply with the provision of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner. Now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee, the Township of Maplewood does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in the deliberations of the governing body by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observation on the actions and discussion of the governing body at all its regular and special meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Adams.
Yes.
Ms. Craig.
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca.
Yes.
Ms. Engel.
Yes.
Mayor Daffis.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Fritzen. Please join us in salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Sorry, we're a little bit behind schedule tonight. We have hopefully a quick agenda this evening. We're going to start with an important proclamation. I'm going to introduce the Mayor's Wellness Campaign. I talked about that during my State of the Township remarks during our reorganization meeting on the first day of the new year. And then we're going to introduce to the public our new Arts and Culture Affairs Manager, Sally Unsworth, who will say a few words. We are so thrilled and delighted to have her officially on board as of today. That will then bring us to our first public comment for agenda items only. Mr. Waltz will take over and help us coordinate public comment. And then we go into the introduction of one ordinance this evening. Ordinance number 3083-23. That ordinance, if all things go well, will be moved by Committee Member Kripe and the second motion will be provided by Deputy Mayor Engel. We have a previously published budget report as a report from departments, and that will then take us to administrative reports following the order we always follow. Township administration, both administrator and assistant administrator, township attorney, followed by township clerk. Our lineup for reports from elected officials this evening is as follows: Committee Member Craig, followed by Committee Member DeLuca, followed by Committee Member Adams, then Deputy Mayor Engel, and I always go last. We have 3 discussion items this evening. And we have a resolution, which is part of our discussion item that we will be voting on separately from the rest of the consent agenda. Then the consent agenda. All of these items have been previously published, including the supportive documentation. And then after we move the consent agenda, we will move into our second and final public comment for any subject matter. And then we will adjourn to meet again in February on the 7th. At 7:30 again. So with that, let's get started. We're going to start with the Mayor's Wellness Campaign. Let me pull that proclamation and read it into the record. The Mayor's Wellness Campaign is it's an initiative through the New Jersey Healthcare Quality Institute, and it is related in many respects to some of the other things that we are doing through Sustainable Jersey. For instance, our community health assessment to get us to gold in health, hopefully, next year. So the two things are related, and the goal here of a mayor's wellness campaign, with this proclamation, what we'll be doing is officially becoming designated as a township that has a mayor's wellness campaign, and applying officially with the Healthcare Quality Institute for support in creating and unleashing a comprehensive program to further highlight existing practices in health and wellness in the township and new programs and initiatives we want to do to create greater health and wellness in the township. That application is due on Friday, so we're getting this right under the wire here. So with that, what our proclamation says this evening is that across New Jersey, the conditions in which we live, work, and age, in combination with wellness, particularly rising obesity rates and decreasing physical activity, impacts our overall health. And ain't that the truth? All of this sitting in the car in these meetings, right? The New Jersey Healthcare Quality Institute's Mayor's Wellness Campaign, in partnership with the League of Municipalities, recognizes that mayors and other local leaders can be effective champions of community health and wellness. The goal of the campaign is to improve the health and wellness of New Jersey communities. The Mayor's Wellness Campaign provides communities with technical assistance, evidence-based resources, and other support to implement community health and wellness improvement initiatives. Maplewood Township cares deeply about all of its residents and the future health and wellness of the community. The Mayor's Wellness Campaign will work to implement, as I just said, a comprehensive program to create and sustain local activities to improve wellness in the township. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Dean Daffis, and on behalf of the Township Committee, ask that all residents of this community join me in supporting and actively engaging in our local Mayor's Wellness Campaign. And be it further resolved that we encourage the residents of Maplewood Township to participate in the campaign activities as we work towards living healthier lives and improving the health and wellness of our community. Some of the existing activities that we're going to be bolstering and highlighting and getting out there to people in health and wellness through the campaign, we will talk about those and present them at our next Board of Health meeting. That's February 7th, our next Township Committee meeting, including some of the new ideas we want to pursue. There are some themes. I want to put this on the record tonight, and we'll talk more about it at the BOH meeting. There are some themes that are coming out of a lot of recent community outreach, and we have data on this now. This is not anecdotal stuff. In our Strengthening Local Public Health Needs Assessment study that we did through the Strengthening Local Public Health Needs grant, we have found that mental health, food insecurity, housing affordability, and homelessness are things that we need to look at in our community. These are vulnerabilities in our community that are on the rise. Similarly, when we did our community health assessment recently, as was already presented at a previous Board of Health meeting, food insecurity, housing affordability, mental health, again, popped up as something that our residents are concerned about, along with walkability, mobility, communications, and boy, have we learned our lesson about communications recently. We'll talk about that later during my report. So these are the kinds of things in climate change. So there are some themes here, common themes that we are coming across over and over again. And with this wellness campaign, we hope to tackle some of them and get us to a better place. That is the Mayor's Wellness Campaign. So with that, without further ado, let's introduce the amazing Sally Unsworth, who is, as of today, our new Arts and Cultural Affairs Manager. She will be reporting to our Community Services Director, Melissa Mancuso, and we are just absolutely thrilled to have her on board. Sally, I know you're with us. Welcome. Thank you for making the time. I know you had a busy day of meeting people and onboarding. Congratulations. Welcome. Please take over, say a few words.
Hi, everybody. Mayor Jaffis, you will be happy to know that the first email in my inbox when I logged in for my Maplewood email account was a walk and talk meeting meant to get steps in while I worked, which I gladly accepted. And I also happily closed all the rings on my watch before lunch, marching all over town. So I already feel much more in shape than I was this morning. I am delighted to be here. I met many wonderful people this morning, and throughout the day, I toured spaces with Melissa Mancuso and settled into my office in the Bergdorf. I am thrilled to be here. I live in these two towns and have adored the Maplewood art scene since I initially moved here. So I'm thrilled to get started. And I would just encourage anyone and everyone who has thoughts and ideas about the direction of the arts to email me at my Newtown email address or to visit me at the Bergdorf on the second floor. My door is open, and I just wanted to thank so many of you for the support that I got today entering this new position. So I'm delighted to begin, and I look forward to also engaging heavily in the master planning process as an advocate for the arts and for cultural programming in this town. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. That's terrific. Congratulations. Do my colleagues wish to say anything? Anyone?
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to joining you on one of those walks and talks because, yeah, I'm super excited to be working with you.
Welcome, Sally. Maplewood is so lucky to have you, and I'm very excited to work with you again.
Thank you. All right, I'll leave you all to your important business.
Thank you, Sally. Welcome again, and we're here to support you and ensure your success. All the
Thank you.
best. Okay, this brings us to our first public comment period for agenda items only. Mr. Waltz?
Good evening, Mayor and Township Committee. We will now begin the first public comment portion of the meeting on agenda items only. If any meeting attendee would like to address the Township Committee, please use the raise your hand function. We'll convert you over to a panelist and allow you 3 minutes to speak. Mayor, first we have Claire Roberts. We'll convert you to a panelist and allow you 3 minutes to speak.
Trying to unmute. Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
Yes, you are. Welcome,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts.
Thank you very, very much. And I really just have one very quick question. All I wanted to ask is the contract with Bloomfield for animal control, is that signed now? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Good to have you with us again this evening. I'm going to punt that question to administration. Mr. Schuster, Ms. Barnett.
Yeah, Mayor, under my report this evening, I will be asking for a motion to approve the contract, which was previously distributed by Mr. Desiderio. Upon that approval, it will probably be signed tomorrow.
Yeah, and Mayor, just at Bloomfield, we confirmed Bloomfield's already passed it. So Mr. Schuster's right. If you sign it or Mr. Schuster signs it tomorrow, it'll go into effect shortly thereafter.
Terrific. Thank you both. And thank you, Ms. Roberts, for the question and for your advocacy. Next, Mr. Waltz.
I see no one else, Mayor.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Waltz. And those of you out there that didn't raise your hand, you'll have another opportunity just in a little bit during our second public comment period. Hang in there. Okay. Introduction of an ordinance. Ordinance number 3083-23. Ms. Fritzen.
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance on introduction is an ordinance to amend Chapter 193 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Maplewood Community Pool.
Mayor, I move the passage of this ordinance on its first reading and its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on February the 7th, 2023.
Second.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Ms. Cripe,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Daffis.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Mayor, if I may, it might be worthwhile to just go back. I don't think we've read the interpretive statement as to what the purpose of this ordinance is. It might just be good for the public to know that.
Yes, who's going to read the interpretive statement?
I'd be happy to, Mayor. This
Please, I
ordinance
don't
will
have
establish that
the
the Maplewood Community Pool, okay, will be open to Maplewood residents, whether or not they are pool members, when weather forecasts call for extreme heat. And those would be a situation, Mayor, where we would have 3 days of 90-degree temperatures, and then the Community Affairs Director with the administration, with concurrence of the administrator, would be able to declare an emergency and open the pool up to residents. So I just thought it was important that the public understood what that was.
Thank you, Mr. Desiderio. I appreciate that. And it is important to explain to the public. And it's also important to let the public know that folks who want to speak up about this, you're welcome to come back on the 2nd of February when the ordinance is up for second reading and final passage.
That would be the 7th of February, Mr. Mayor.
What did I say? The 7th of what?
You said the 2nd.
Oh, the 7th. Yes, the 7th of February. Yes, not the 2nd of February. Oh my goodness. The 7th of February. So yeah, this ordinance will be up for final reading and passage then. We will have a public hearing, and our residents are welcome to come on by and express themselves about it. I know that I have received some negative feedback about this from a few residents, and I'll say more during the public hearing on the 7th. But this is something that we did this past summer and did so successfully. The pool was not dangerous in any respect in terms of capacity, and it was pretty much smooth sailing. All we're doing with this ordinance is making this policy official going forward during heat advisories as the one Mr. Desiderio explained. Okay, so more on that on the 7th. Thank you. Report from departments. We have a budget report previously published from our CFO. And this brings us to administrative reports. Township Administrator Schuster.
Thank you, Mayor. We are rapidly coming to a close on all the budget edits. There's been a lot of work been put in by all departments and receiving feedback from various subcommittees. We still have more outreach to do, especially in the area of open space, and we'll be making sure we have those meetings and provide time for everyone to provide their feedback on the budget requests there. But right now things are marching towards a January 30th and 31st budget hearings, both of which will start at 6 p.m. We'll be putting together a schedule shortly. We're going to try to get as much accomplished as we can in those 2 evenings, but understand that we might have to have other evenings scheduled to further vet out the budget. But as I said, things are coming together nicely, and believe we are on schedule for delivery of this year's budget. Other than that, I do have 2 action items to request for the Township Committee this evening. The first, I was request a motion to approve the animal control agreement with Bloomfield Township that was previously discussed in the the public comment section. That would be a 6-month term that has automatic renewals every single month if we choose not to redo the contract. Approximately $6,000 per month that we'd be paying to Bloomfield to provide this service. There is a 30-day termination if we so choose by either party if things are not working out. But this is a chance for us to get some breathing room and figure out what we're going to do with animal control after that initial 6-month period is through. We retain the option to continue with Bloomfield if they feel that is still advantageous, or we can go out to bid and look at various other options. So with that, I would ask for the motion to approve that agreement.
Board of Health Chair Engel, would you like to move this?
Sure. So moved.
Seconded.
Okay.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Ms. Cripe,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Davos.
Yes.
Thank you. And the second action item is a request from our Community Services Director. 2 years have flown by and it is time to go out to bid again for the community pool concession stand. So the request is to authorize, or the motion would be to authorize the township to go out to bid for that service.
Move it.
Second.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Ms. Crichton,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Davos.
Yes.
Thank you. And of course, report back once that goes out to bid and we get the results. Other than that, I'm happy to take any questions.
I have one. When can we expect the packet for the Township Committee of the budget? Usually we get it a couple weeks prior to the hearings, so that we have time to go through the volume.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't realize you got it that. I thought it was about a week in advance you typically got it. We were targeting early next week.
Okay, I mean, the sooner the better, just so we have time to look at it. If we get it this week, then we have an extra weekend, but it's, whenever. I'm just.
Well, let me talk to the budget team about that. We may be able to get something out early with the understanding that there might be a little plus or minus, a little refinement that might happen, but the major stuff won't change. So let me get back to you on that. We might be able to get you something this week.
Hey, thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Schuster? Okay, then we'll turn it over to our Assistant Administrator Barnett.
Thank you, Mayor. So as Administrator Schuster said, the main focus these past couple of weeks and going forward is the budget, with the budget workshops heading or coming up soon. We sent out applications to some community groups for the OSTF funding request last week, and those are going to be due back to administration not this Friday, the 20th, but the following, the 27th. So if anybody who received those applications is listening, just a friendly reminder, that's the deadline for that date. And again, as Administrator Schuster said, we're looking at a February budget hearing for OSTF funding. Other than that, most of the things I've been working on have been just kind of internal administrative things. So since Administrator Schuster covered everything pretty in depth, unless anybody has any questions for me, that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Any questions for Assistant Administrator Barnett? I have a couple of items for administration for both Ms. Barnett and Mr. Schuster. A couple of things that came out of our public safety meeting last week that I'd like administration to stay on top of and follow up with. Number one, the police scanner, that elusive police scanner. The quality of transmission is apparently very low. And I'm hoping that administration will work with our chief of police on that. I know that at least it's working now that it's in MPD's hands and management, but we have to do better in terms of the transmission. So
I can actually give you an update on that right now, Mayor. We were aware of the quality issues. I believe Chief Sally had the vendor come out and they're looking at relocating the scanner to a place where it would get better reception this week. So hopefully sometime this week that'll be corrected.
terrific. I'm glad that you're on top of it already. And then the second item is a bigger project. But one of the things that has come up time and time again recently in our public safety meetings with the community is the issue of lighting. There are lots of lights that are either out or there are areas with very poor lighting. Lighting can lead to criminal activity. It certainly makes residents feel unsafe walking about near their homes, to and from the train, so on and so forth. So we have been encouraging residents recently to submit to us through our website, through GovPilot, their lighting concerns. So I kind of want to get us to put a plan together on how we're going to tackle and prioritize those requests.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get into it. I'll talk with the police as well as Public Works and be able to report back.
Great. And then one last thing, this is just sort of a statement, and I'll make this part of my report later too. We have to do better about our communications. There was a lot of miscommunications yesterday, over the weekend about recycling during the holiday. It was on, it was off, it was on, it was off. And we've also miscommunicated today about the designated parking spots at the middle school in Maplewood. So the spots were put in contrary to what we agreed upon as a governing body together here. And then they were supposed to be relocated a little bit further down, but they were completely eliminated. And I know already that our engineer and public works are working to have them put back the signs for our teachers first thing in the morning as they arrive. But please stay engaged in that effort as well. Okay. Great. Let's go over to legal. Township Attorney Desiderio.
Mayor, I do have one thing with two parts. The township has, over the course of at least the last 4 years, had interlocal agreements with Milburn for a plumbing subcode official, plumbing inspector, plumbing subcode official, and electrical subcode official, where we share these positions with Milburn. We are the lead agency. Maplewood's the lead agency, although Milburn pays 2/3 of the cost and Maplewood pays 1/3 of the cost. We have those agreements are now due. I apologize, it was somewhat delayed in terms of getting to you, but I'd like to, if you would entertain a motion to renew these agreements with Milburn so that we can get them in place as we move forward. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. These are a continuation of agreements that have already been in place for the last 4 years.
Is there a change in the expense for the township?
Well, yes, the overall salaries were increased somewhat. Hang on one second. Over the last 4 years, the salary was increased from I think it was $85,000 to $92,000. And like I said, it's a split of 2/3, 1/3 Milburn and Maplewood.
I'll move it.
Second.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Ms. Cripe,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Daffis.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Fritz and I will do memorializations, and Mr. Schuster, on the Bloomfield one, you'll sign that agreement or ask the mayor to sign it and you'll circulate it? to
Yes.
Bloomfield? Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Desiderio. Any questions for Township Attorney Desiderio? Okay, seeing none, we'll move over to our clerk. Madam Clerk, Ms. Fritzen.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a few things. The 2023 parking availability for what used to be permits that you stuck on your vehicle is going smoothly. And we're seeing, people come in moderately to take care of that. Event planning meetings, we had 3 of them last week. And these are for larger scale events that we have coming up in our township. And they were well attended by the particular departments of the township and the event planners themselves. And 2 more event planning meetings are scheduled for next week. Working on the public notices for all of your subcommittees. So if you still need to get me dates for your subcommittee meetings, please do. And as Mayor said, we will have the volunteer listing up to date and with expiration terms for everyone for you for your consideration, certainly for the next meeting. And that's all that I have. And if you have any questions of me.
I do, Madam Clerk, regarding the 2023 parking permits and jitney combos, you said it's going smoothly. I understand that we were awaiting to digitize some of this, if not all of it, through Park Mobile, and there were some delays on their end. Have all of those things been fixed?
Well, we're working really in conjunction with the administration office. But we are, having people come in and give us their information, their plate and so forth, with the anticipation that everything will be ready to go by the end of the month.
Okay, thank you for that. I do think we need to communicate that to our residents, however, because as of this afternoon, in fact, I saw social media posts where people are just asking, hey, what's the update on this? The website still has the same information from before, what's going on. So we need to really communicate.
Okay,
And advise people what to do.
Ms. Barnett and I will get together.
Yeah, please make that a priority if you can for tomorrow. Because we've communicated to the residents that, they'll be able to do this, digitize this and just go to the website, enter their information and wait for, their permit to be emailed to them. So folks are wondering what's up, where are we at with that?
Understood.
Thank you. Any other questions for the clerk? All right, we'll move over. Thank you. We'll move over to reports from elected officials and we'll begin with Committee Member Craig.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. Wanted to mention that we've had 2 meetings so far in regards to our Black History Month program, and we will hopefully have a calendar of events ready to go to print by the end of next week, with events throughout the entire month of February in commemoration of Black History Month. Secondly, you mentioned in the Public Safety Committee in regards to the particularly the lights and the communications within the community. And I just wanted to really stress the fact that members of the Lightning Brook neighborhood, which I am also a resident of, are very disgruntled and are feeling a lot of a loss of faith, not only in the governing body, but in our administration and with the police department. So whatever we can do to I guess, highlight and lift up and really push for changes and improvements, in particular to the safety of our residents, I cannot ask for any harder. I want to give a very solid shout out to our engineer, Mr. Kittner, who upon one email reached out and immediately started following up with PSE&G and getting dates and starting making motions happen. So hopefully we will have some answers in regards to not only the lighting situation, but follow up in regards to the street improvements that had happened over the early part of fall, late summer, that many residents feel were incomplete compared to other parts of town that are currently having their streets renovated. It's a different look on our blocks than it is in some of the other blocks. Finally, we want to push to folks who are driving in and around Maplewood. I encourage folks to actually just leave a couple minutes early. One of the statements made in our public comment during the Public Safety Committee meeting was from a resident who walks a lot in the area, particularly with his children to and from schools. And the fact that he used a phrase that I found slightly funny, but slightly disheartening, stoptional. We still have too many people running traffic signs. And the purpose of the stop signs were to mitigate dangerous situations that had been occurring in some of our intersections. So if it requires you to leave a few minutes early so you don't feel frustrated and frazzled to roll through a stop sign, that would be encouraged, because our kids are out there walking, our seniors are out there walking, our residents are out there walking with dogs, and I could list everybody who's out there walking, but no one needs to be endangered in their hometown just because someone is a few minutes late. Leave earlier, slow down. Finally, thank you for the approval of the heat advisory ordinance, word changing. There were a lot of folks, particularly in this side of town, the neighborhood, who really utilized that, and we're extremely grateful. I got a few emails from residents in regards to that, actually even being brought forward. The fact we were having the conversation at all surprised many of them, and that's little things like that that restore faith in our government. So as we continue to think of new ways of making living in Maplewood more equitable and better, I hope that we will continue to do that. And as always, my plea to have people volunteer. This town doesn't operate just from the 5 of us and the administration and the staff at the township. It requires community involvement. And if you have something that is your passion or something that is concerning to you, there more than likely is a committee out there that actually addresses that issue. Sign up, step forward. On the website, and our township has a volunteer application. It's very simple, it's very quick, and we will reach out to you immediately because there is a need and there are openings and we'd love to have you. We need the new voices, we need your input. Thank you for the time, Mr. Mayor, back to you.
Thank you for your report. Well said on all accounts. Committee Member DeLuca.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things on our consent agenda tonight. Just want to highlight there's 2 items, 3623. This is the contract to repair the front of the Woodland. This has been, this got damaged in a storm and we've been waiting a very long time. And so we're getting it done. We got the bids and we'll be doing that. And then also 37-23, that's to finalize the sand silt drainage field amendment program over at DeHart Park. That work has been done. This is going to be evaluated, and basically what this is to cut slits into the ground, put some sand in there, and to improve the drainage. And so the idea is if we can improve the drainage, get the water off there, the grass will grow better and people will be able to play sooner after it rains. It will be evaluated again by our arborist that we have working with us in early spring to see if there's additional amendments that need to be done. He's also given us a proposal to look at repairing the ball field there at DeHart. That was destroyed in Tropical Storm Ida, and it never got on our list to repair. So we are going to look for money either in the budget that we've passed in past years or look for this year's. Mr. Schuster, just a warning, we might have to find some money in the capital budget for this. So if you could speak to Mr. Kittner about it. And then lastly, I just want to say February 24th is the first anniversary of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And I was in contact with Father Hott over at the Ukrainian church. And we're talking about doing some kind of candlelight march from Borden Park to the church on Saturday, February 25th. So that's just sort of an idea, and we'll kick it around some more and bring it back at the next meeting and talk some more about it. And that's it.
Thank you, Committee Member DeLuca. That's a really great idea. I think that would be very fitting. Okay, we'll move over to Committee Member Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. First, we have a few appointments for the Historic Preservation Commission that time is rather of the essence to have these appointed. I know we're going to be doing the rest of the committee assignments and approvals probably at our first meeting in February, Mayor. So I'm asking the Township Committee to reappoint John Gordon, Mara Ebert, and Julian Helisek to the Historic Preservation Commission. John is current chair. Mara and Julian are first and second alternate, not in that order. So I'm asking for, I'd like to move their reappointment and asking for a second and a vote of the TC.
I'll second your motion, Ms. Adams. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Ms. Bright,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Daffis.
Yes.
Also, the recycling schedule, as everyone knows, yes, this past week was a little confusing. I think mostly because the national holiday for January 1 was January 2nd, and that was the day they picked up recycling. And then MLK Day was, anyway, there was a lot of confusion. Our supervisor of Public Works was on it and talking with the hauler, Basso, or trying very hard to get in touch with him, finally did. And DPW picked up those households that had put them out on the correct day, the next day, yesterday, or that was today. So they, anyway, forget what day of the week it is, but they they followed up, and I'd like to thank Cesar Riccardi for following up with that and kind of double teaming it to get all the recycling picked up. I will remind everybody for Wednesday this week is the last day in Maplewood for pickup, and it's fiber, meaning cardboard and paper. And then next week, as we've explained, it alternates. So next week would be your commingled day to put things out. Overall, I think it's not bad for, a couple weeks in, and it's still an ongoing process of information and communication. So, and thank you, Ms. Burnett, for working with Chief Sally on getting the Nixle alerts out so that we can remind people. And lastly, we have Women's History Month. We met for the first time for our March events. So we're working with South Orange again. And we will have the proclamation at the March 7th meeting, Madam Clerk. So we'll work on that and put out an invitation to all elected women in the community to come help us with that proclamation. It's an annual favorite. So that's all I have tonight. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for the reminder. I got to get home after this meeting and put out my paper and cardboard. Okay, that leads us to Deputy Mayor Engel.
Thank you, Mayor. It's January, but we're thinking about camp on January 23rd at 10 a.m. We are opening up registration for our town camps, including Maplewood Kids Camp, Funky Fun Art Camp, Summer Tennis Camp, Drill Skills and Thrills Basketball Camp, Ultimate Frisbee Camp, and a new half-day craft camp. This year, Maplewood residents are going to have a 3-week period for early registration access before we open up registration to other municipalities. And we also want to remind residents that there's a recreation assistance fund that they can donate to and or apply to for assistance to participate in township programming to make it fully inclusive. Anyone looking to apply for the rec assistance fund can go to the township website, and anyone looking to donate can go to the rec desk. And for any other inquiries, they can email recinfo@maplewoodnj.gov. And that was all I had. Thank you.
Unmute there. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Engel. My report, I have a few items. I talked about the Maplewood Wellness, the Mayor's Wellness Campaign, We talked about our budget workshop, public meetings on the 30th and 31st, starting at 6 p.m. Join us. Those are going to be on Zoom, and come and ask questions about the budget and see how the sausage is made, so to speak. The Anchor program, this is the state program providing property tax relief. That's right, I said property tax relief, is accepting applications. There's absolutely no reason to leave this money on the table. You paid for it, get it back. For homeowners, as much as $1,500, for renters as much as $450. Please go to our website for details. The deadline to apply has been extended from the end of January to the end of February. And I call upon administration to ensure that those details of the program are on our website and displayed so prominently and accessible. Meet the TC. We're going to be coming back in person and on the corner and outside of businesses in your neighborhood. We will publish a schedule accordingly, and you'll get the opportunity to interact with us live and in person. Meet the TC tends to be really successful whenever we have done it in the past. And it gives us a nice opportunity to actually meet some of our residents, including some of our new residents who've moved into town since COVID that we have not had the opportunity to interact with. So meet the TC, look out for that. We will send emails and all kinds of good stuff so that you can come and speak with us in person. Speaking of in person, this is to announce that our township committee meetings will return in person in March, with our first meeting in March. We will publish more details. We will republish those notices so everyone knows that we're going back in person. And more details about that and how folks can continue interacting with us, including those who cannot join us in person, will be made available shortly. The New Jersey Family Care Cover All Kids. This is important healthcare news that's gotten very, very little attention. And again, I call upon administration to make New Jersey Family Care Cover All Kids widely available, prominently displayed. This covers children 19 years or younger are eligible for Medicaid regardless of their legal status. So this is expanding healthcare coverage to undocumented children. And we want that to get out there for our parents who need to know about it as soon as we can. When you visit our website, please check out the Township Master Plan webpage. Took a lot of effort to put in there a summary of the public workshops that we have done and the things that we are starting to learn about where Maplewood is today and where Maplewood needs to go for the next decade, at least, as we get closer and closer this year to adopting a new master plan. Further public engagement workshops will be announced soon. Stay tuned for those announcements. But you can get a nice look into what already we have been able to find out. Meet the chief, meet our new police chief on Thursday, this Thursday. I believe it's at 7 p.m. Committee member DeLuca can correct me if I'm wrong.
7:30.
7:30. There you go. All good things start at 7:30. So at 7:30, meet our new police chief, Al Sally. The Hilton Neighborhood Association is sponsoring that, and it's in person live. And Mr. DeLuca, that is at DeHart, or where is it? Is that right?
Yes, DeHart.
Yep. I just
120 Burnett.
120 Burnett. So come on by. Come on by. Some of you have engaged already with our public safety committee meetings, but come on by. Let's talk about what matters to you. Let's talk about public safety in Maplewood. And that concludes my report. Thank you all.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can we have Ms. Barnett mention the revaluation meeting that's happening next week? We kind of all missed it.
Yes, we kind of did. Go ahead, Ms. Barnett.
Let her take the blame.
So actually, I can first go on and just drop the flyer in the chat so that folks can see it. And then I'll go on and share that information with y'all. So next Tuesday night at 7 p.m., we're going to be having a revaluation webinar virtually via Zoom. It's also going to be live streamed via YouTube, and then the live stream will stay on YouTube as a recording so that folks can reference it at any point in time following the webinar next week, so that it's publicly available. Thank you to everyone who reached out and expressed interest after the Soma Two Towns sponsored revaluation information session for seniors took place last week, and expressed that they were interested in learning more about it in a more accessible time for folks who might not be members of the senior community. We heard your feedback, and that's why we're implementing this. So we hope everyone can make it. And again, if you aren't able to make it for some reason, the information will still all be recorded and up on our YouTube channel. And we'll also have any resources that are shared there published on the website following the event.
Thank you, Ms. Barnett, for that. And just for the public, we're very early in this process, and there will be sufficient opportunity for public engagement to answer questions, to dispel myths, and for people to get engaged in this very important process. So more of that on that coming up. Okay, this brings us to our discussion items, merrily moving along here. The first one is an appointment of Ms. Adams to the Historic Preservation Commission officially as our Township Committee liaison. We had appointed committee member DeLuca, but there was a conflict with one of his other appointments and liaison assignments. So this evening we'll be appointing Ms. Adams. Mr. DeLuca, did you want to say anything further?
Just want to move it.
I'll second it.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Cripe?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Sengel?
Yes.
Mayor Daffis.
Yes, thank you all. And Deputy Mayor Engel, take it over. Girl Scout PSA about recycling. Good stuff.
Yes, Girl Scout Troop 20251, which is a group of Tuscan fifth graders, took it upon themselves to film a video PSA, a super cute commercial for the new recycling program. I'm going to work with Ms. Barnett about distributing it through our township channels, but I wanted to ask my colleagues if we can reimburse the troop for the $220 they paid for the stock music that they used, and it would be in perpetuity. It's not covered by our current agreements. So I guess I want a motion to reimburse them for $220.
Move it.
Second,
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Curry,
yes,
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Daffis.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor Engel. Excited to share this with the rest of the community. We got a sneak peek and it's really a lot of fun and just spot on in terms of education as well. Committee Member DeLuca, you have the final discussion item this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. We were approached by the Historic Preservation Commission a couple weeks ago to talk about a plan that they would like to undertake, a planning process they would like to undertake with professionals for the woodland. And there is a grant that's available from the Department of Environmental Protection that has a due date of the 20th of January that they would like to go for up to $50,000. There's no match to the grant. Contrary to some of our conversation at the Engineering and Public Works, there's no requirement to put the money up. We were guided by our Chief Financial Officer, Joe, that we can do a Chapter 195, which allows us to list it as a source of income if we actually get the grant, which we will not know until after the budget's passed. So this way we don't have to put any money out. There's no match. And just to give you a sense of what we're talking about, I'll share this. We basically would develop a woodland, the woodland preservation plan. And we would hire experts to help us think through how we should develop a plan to keep up the building, fix up the building, restore portions of the building. Our engineer, Paul Kittner, is very much in favor of coming up with a plan that we all agree to. Right now, we're kind of doing things on sort of a response to a problem or response to an interest. So this would give us an opportunity to really think about the building as a whole and how we want to invest in the building. So these are the components that we would have. There'd be some historic research. They would do an assessment of the conditions, interior and exterior. They would work with us to do a prioritization of the repairs and the maintenance. They'd do some drawings, building program use, to be a discussion about that, code compliance, making sure of all that, and a budget, preliminary budget of what it would take. The project team, there would be architects and planners, and they would work with the community. There'd be a series of meetings with the community to talk about the building, how we use the building, how it's positioned in the community, what do we want it to look like going forward. So basically what we're asked tonight is to approve the application of a grant to the Department of Environmental Protection for up to $50,000 so that we can develop this plan if in fact we get the grant.
I'd like to add just a couple things, and I want to thank in particular Daniel Wright of the Historic Preservation Commission, who's worked really hard at getting this application together. It's taken a lot of time. There's also, as being on the HPC and having and Engineering and Public Works, we've dealt with a lot of, as Mr. DeLuca alluded to, a lot of things that need to get fixed, but on a sort of, it has to get fixed right away, or, actually the doors that we're talking about fixing for the last couple of years, with HPC's help, we were able to potentially reduce the cost of that, those replacements by doing it with a more historic eye and getting toward restoring the beauty of that building, including opening up the windows above those doors that you can't see because they're covered up by siding. But anyway, there's a lot, and I think it's smart to have a plan for it so we know well ahead of time of what expenses are coming down the pike and in what order we need to address things. So I'm very much in favor of this. And again, thank you to Daniel Wright and HPC for their work on this.
I have a few questions, then I'll open it up for other questions from other colleagues. Committee member DeLuca, can you talk a little bit about the repairs themselves? I think we understand that what the grant gets us, right? It will pay for a consultant to study the history of the building and to prepare a preservation plan, which includes obviously an inventory of the repairs that need to be made. And as you said, that will include, of course, a community public engagement about, where we want to go with the building and what it should look like and all that good stuff. But in terms of the repairs themselves, does this in any way bind us to make the repairs historical and go through, even if they're interior repairs, and go through state and local historic preservation review?
So the answer is interior, no. As long as we're not making interior repairs that would affect the outside. For example, putting the air conditioning inside would affect outside. Putting the elevator inside did affect outside because we had to have a staircase that came down. Fixing up the kitchen inside did affect outside because we had to run the duct up there. So it would not impact the inside except if it changed the outside character of the building. The HPC only has responsibility for the outside of the building. Now, I think what will be useful is to have the experts tell us that when we're making inside repairs, we ought to be sensitive to what the building looks like inside. So we're not making repairs that are, contrary to the historic nature of that building. I mean, when you look at the building here, and when you look at here in this hall, I mean, we certainly want to respect the look and feel of this inside of the building. So anything that we would do in repair here would not change it. So the inside would be contrary to the spirit of that building. But no, this would not require us any outside work. If we were to open the windows, as Ms. Adams talked about, take the vinyl siding off, do some other outside work with the roof or the cupola up there or what have you, that would require both HPC approval and SHPO approval at the Department of Environmental Protection. But that's required right now. The grant doesn't change that. The grant would just give us the opportunity to have a plan that we can move forward. As far as funding, it doesn't require us to do any spending. It's a plan, and we can implement it at the time period that we're most comfortable with. In a funding stream, both our money and having a plan will allow us to get outside money, and we can do that over a period of time. So we will not be forced to make any expenditures. Similar to how when we did the visioning plan for the village or the plan for Memorial Park. It's a basic plan, and then as we develop resources, as we identify resources, we move forward and undertake that work.
I see. Thank you for that. Any questions from colleagues? Committee member Cripe, Deputy Mayor.
No, I'm looking forward to a plan.
Deputy Mayor Engel.
No, I have no questions. I think a plan is good, especially so that we're not always doing emergency repairs, which can be more expensive.
Right. Historic repairs are also very expensive. And we've seen that and we've experienced that. And historic review causes delays. And it requires us to, the burden is on taxpayers for all these reviews. And, we mentioned the doors in our discussion tonight. It's been 2 years, right? And we still don't have those doors in because we wanted them to be more historic. The AC, this is a building that has become a communal space and a space for private rentals. And yet in the summertime, we get cancellations all the time. I see them because I sign the purchase orders. And we know that there are community groups, including our arts and performing arts folks who have gone to other places because of it, because we cannot accommodate them, because we are trying to be historic. Now, I'm going to vote in favor of this tonight with this reservation, because I care about the Woodland, because it is a unique building that we should be proud of, because it is in a historically designated downtown, and because it is so part of our brand and has an amazing history. But I really want us to be careful. This should not be an open door for these projects continuing to be delayed and overstudied and evaluated. And can we find this special expert and that special expert? Delay, delay, delay. You know why we're doing these repairs sometimes last minute? Because of this reason. And you know, I won't even mention the fact that that building right now has arguably, you know, it's not as safe as it could be because of the door situation. It's vulnerable to storms. But again, we're focusing on historic, and that's great. We do have a historic preservation commission, but there needs to be a balance. Our taxpayers are paying for this. And if they can't have access to the building to use it, to attend community events, then we should be a little bit more mindful about this and have those tough conversations with the commission. So that's my reservation. I will be voting in favor. I do believe we need a plan. I agree with everything that's been said, but I also believe that, you know, what I'm saying is also the truth. And we need to acknowledge it, and we need to change the way we're doing business in this regard. So with that, should we vote on the resolution right now?
Could I just say something on that?
Of course.
Yeah, we do have hard conversations at HPC about all this stuff, but the reality is it's a commission that has authoritative powers of approval. They have to approve exterior repairs. And I think the discussions are often emotional and often productive, even though they're, you know, they take some time. The HVAC is, you know, in large part a funding issue. It's a ton of money. None of us, except for Mr. DeLuca, I guess, when, you know, the township purchased this building, just like all of us, when we purchase a building or a house, we have to make repairs that we weren't necessarily planning on. So a lot of it is a table that's been set, and we have to do it. As I mentioned before, the work on the doors was going to be preset door plus the side lights in manufactured as one piece. HPC and USA Architects agreed with HPC that it could be done in a more thoughtful way that will actually save us money. And so it's not always the case. Yeah, it definitely takes longer, but that's because it's classified as a historic building and therefore needs the commission's approval. So it's a process just like most government things, right? It's bureaucratic and it can be very frustrating, but everyone on the HPC cares deeply about it. And believe me, we've argued with, that doesn't make sense. We can't do that. It's cost prohibitive. And then often we get to a middle road that's still approvable. So it's tiring. I just got reappointed, and it's you know, can be a rough meeting every month, but
I've been a liaison on the HPC, and I think that our commissioners are absolutely thoughtful and resourceful individuals, and some of them have been there since the very founding of our local commission, and they're great people. So, none of my remarks are personal against any individual. So I want to make that clear. But, attending the meetings and sitting through the budget workshops, I'm just saying that we need to have a balance. And that's all. That's all. I think that's also being thoughtful, having a balance.
Agree, and I will move the motion,
Second,
move the resolution.
second,
Sad,
yes.
Ms. Scurry,
Yes,
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes,
Ms. Engel,
Yes,
Mayor Davis.
Yes, thank you. This brings us to our consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
move the consent agenda, Mayor.
Mayor,
second,
I need to remove 14B, the minutes of August 2nd. I can't vote on that.
Okay, we could do that separately.
You can
All
just
right.
abstain on that one. Then we can
Well,
just-
if we're doing the whole
You don't have to do a
consent
separate
agenda,
vote,
I
just
can't.
abstain on that one.
Not if you're doing the consent agenda, it's one vote.
Okay,
Okay, so can I get a motion moving the consent agenda items 14A, 14C through 14X?
sorry, I'm gonna
So
interrupt
moved.
you. If we're pulling those out, then we have to pull out all the 2022 minutes, because I have to abstain from those.
Correct.
So that would be 14A, 14B, 14C.
Okay, well then let's do it this way. I'm trying to be too nice here. I'm going to move the consent agenda items 14E. Can't see anymore. 14E through 14X. Can I get a second?
Second,
Ms. Adams,
yes.
Ms. Scurry,
yes,
Mr. DeLuca,
yes,
Ms. Engel,
Yes,
Mayor Davis.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I get a motion on the consent agenda items 14A, 14B, 14C, and 14D? I will
Move
move. Yep, okay, you moved it. I'll second it.
Ms. Adams,
Same,
Ms. Scurry,
yes,
Mr. DeLuca,
yes,
Ms. Engel,
abstain.
Mayor Davis.
Yes, thank you. All right. Moving on, public comment number 2, any subject matter. Mr. Waltz, please take over.
Good evening again, Mayor and Township Committee. We'll now begin the second public comment portion of the meeting on any subject matter. If any meeting attendee would like to address the Township Committee, please use the raise your hand function. We will convert you over to a panelist and allow you 3 minutes to speak. Mayor, first we have Soma Justice. We'll convert them over to a panelist and allow them 3 minutes to speak.
Mr. Waltz, do we have Soma Justice? Oh, here they come.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, because of the settings, I can't change the name. So on my computer, I'm logged in as Soma Justice for other stuff, but I'm here as Kasha, not necessarily as Soma Justice. So just to be clear. Thank you for the opportunity to talk. I'm here to talk about the budget hearings slated later for this month, specifically about the incredible revenue windfall the township received last year from cannabis sales. I'm hoping that as the township considers how to spend that money, you'll keep in mind legalized marijuana's tragic legacy and put the money into programs that further our township's goals of increasing equity. I have a few ideas, some that are mine, others from conversations with local folks. They include reducing recreation fees and adding more scholarships, creating a sensory-based playground, more social workers, and increased access to mental health services. But if it were up to me, I would funnel every last dollar into the Maplewood Community Pool. Now, I know that $500,000 doesn't get us all the way to making the pool free, but it definitely gets us a lot closer. With this money, we should certainly be able to provide free lessons to anyone who wants them. We should be able to reduce fees considerably and offer many more free or almost free memberships. We should be able to offer day passes to all residents at a much lower cost than current guest passes. We should be able to offer inexpensive day passes to residents of neighboring towns. By using this money, we can work toward the noble goal that I know you all believe in, erasing decades of racially based inequities and making sure that not a single kid in our town drowns ever again. Imagine having that legacy attached to your names in our town. I know we have a lot of other needs and important ones. I know you'll be weighing a lot of things when you're working on the budget later this month, but I am asking you to think big and do the righteous, noble thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor, next we have Joan Crystal. Convert you over to a panelist and 93 minutes to speak.
Thank you. I have a very quick question. Since the board and committee appointments are not going to be on the agenda until next month, what is the status of board and committee members whose terms expired in December? Are they continue their duties in the interim?
Of course they can. If they're interested in staying on and doing the work, we'd love to have them, and we will officially reappoint them on the 7th.
And thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Ms. Crystal. Good to see you. Mr. Waltz, anybody else?
I see no one else, Mayor.
Okay, wonderful. Before we motion to adjourn here, I neglected to do a moment of silence for an important member of the community that we lost last week, Dwight West. Dwight West passed away on Monday, January 9th. And as many of you probably remember, he was a soloist, a great singer at many of our meetings, reorganization meetings, Veteran Day celebrations, senior programs at the pool. Anyway, dearly departed, we want to send our support, our love to the family, to the West family, and let them know that our thoughts are with them during this very difficult time. The family does want us to make public the arrangements. There will be a wake on January 19th. That's Thursday night this week at Zion Hill Baptist Church, 152 Osborne Terrace in Newark, from 6 to 9 p.m. Zion Hill Baptist Church. And the funeral is the following evening on Friday night, the 20th, following morning, the 20th. There will be a final viewing 9 to 10, and the funeral between 10 and 11:30. The burial is at Heavenly Rest in East Hanover, New Jersey. The family also wanted us to let folks know that the funeral and wake will be live streamed. So for those who cannot make it in person and or may have reservations about doing so, you can check it out on YouTube and on Facebook. Zion Hill Baptist Church is on YouTube and Facebook. And in lieu of flowers, please consider donating to the UNCF or cancer.org. And that's it. And thank you. Please join me in a moment of silence before we adjourn. Thank you. I move that we adjourn and meet again on February 7th.
Second,
Adams,
yes.
Ms. Cripe,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Dap.